Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte.
We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Councilmember Brooke Marcotte.
here.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Dee Dee Johnson-Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. Item 1, public comment. At this time, I'll ask you to please put your phones on vibrate. And it's not a back and forth. It's only for us to listen to your comments. Madam Clerk?
Ryan Gisclair for agenda item number 5.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Gisclair. I'm the Vice President on the board of Evangeline Little League, and I wanted to come and speak with you tonight because I know that you guys are introducing some things where we can try to benefit the Pepperplex and the not only the facilities but also the things that can be done to the community. I grew up not here. I grew up in Marrero, Louisiana, on the West Bank, and moved here 11 years ago. I came from a very thriving recreation department that I was involved in. My sister was involved in. My parents played and all that. And one of the reasons I moved out here was this felt like a better place to raise a family than New Orleans did. And one of the things I miss is having those big facilities to have my kids play sports at and have the community play sports at. It's one of the reasons why I got involved with Little League, was to try to benefit the community. Being a playground kid serves a lot of us well, as opposed to hanging out in other areas and whatnot. So I ask you guys that as y'all consider this, to look at it through the lens of what it can do for the community, what it can do for the children of the community by having a large facility that can accommodate many different sports. And whatever we can do as a community to get that together is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Barringer to discuss agenda item number 5.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Barringer. I'm a board member with the Bear Sports Complex Commission, commonly known as Pepperplex Board. I've been on that board since it was founded back in 2003, so been at this a couple of days. First, I want to thank you all for considering this initiative to try and get some funding going for the Pepperplex. It's essential that as a community we look for opportunities to improve the quality of life, not only for our residents, but for the youth. As I'm sure the individual leagues will tell you later on, these improvements are much needed and long overdue. One of our most pressing needs is ongoing maintenance and operations at the park, which the mayor's plan also addresses that. The required labor and equipment expense for maintaining the facility has simply become too much for the available volunteers we have out there. I don't want to spend a lot of time walking down history lane, as that'd be rather pointless for this meeting, but I do want to point out some basic facts. The current park we have is really only about 25% of what the original plan was to build out there. The plan was for us to get capital outlay grants every year of $1 million. The original budget was probably around $7 million, which was probably way inadequate. We ended up only getting $2 million and did the best we could with the money we had. To be honest, if we had known we was only going to get $2 million, we probably would have designed a completely different park. Things would have looked a lot different out there because we scaled back and tried to focus on just certain areas. At present, our funding is pretty limited at the park. We get about $16,000 a year from the State Visitor Enterprise Fund, but the last 2 years, that's been slashed at about half because of reduced funds. We also get a yearly donation from our beverage supplier of about $9,000, and concession sales generates about $8,000 a year for the park. The city and parish have also, on and off, as recently as last year, given us grants to help us, through the tough times. Our operating expenses last year, excluding utilities, was about $25,000. So you can see that those numbers don't add up too good. We're always at a shortfall trying to make the ends meet. Portions of the facility are now 15 years old from when we started original construction, so I think maintenance needs are just going to continue to increase. Our office building is the old tourism building that was on by the old Best Western. That building's probably over 30 years old, and it could use a lot of TLC too. And then the back restrooms were intended to be a temporary setup for only a few years. They're now close to 20 years old. They're outdated and too small. So I also know one of the mayor's goals is to develop other uses of the park, so I thought I'd share a few of those other things we're doing out there besides ISA and ELL. Each spring we host an elementary and the middle school girls softball league out there. They play in February and March. We've had as many as 18 teams in that league. And turf fields will certainly allow us to get more of those games in during poor weather, as well as possibly attract other teams. As with other leagues, we're faced with competition from other parks. I've been contacted several times by other parks trying to convince me to move that league to another location. I have no desire to do that, because if they want another location, they can run it. I'm not going to do it for them. So, in addition to the fall and spring recreation soccer leagues, Iberia Soccer also hosts a junior high soccer league, which plays during the winter months. This pretty much keeps something going on with soccer most of the year. Last year and again this year, there will be several middle school and high school cross-country meets at the park. And we've also had a few rag ball and kickball tournaments hosted by local organizations as fundraisers. A couple other things, CLECO uses our parking lot for a muster site during hurricane emergencies. And I know the city police have used our parking lot also for training site drills. Well, our primary mission will be to provide facilities for recreation programs with improved fields. There should be also opportunities to attract baseball and softball tournaments. We've had a few, but we just really can't keep up with the competition at the other parks. And by tracking those those teams in here, that generates doesn't generate a lot of revenue. Generate a lot of revenue for the park, but it does generate revenue for the local businesses through restaurants, hotels, gas stations, through tax income. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for considering this proposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Norris for agenda item number 7A.
Afternoon, Council, Mayor. My name is Jonathan Norris, resident District 1. Lived in New Iberia my entire life, born and raised. I'm married with 3 kids, 17, 6, and 2. So I really learned to be a coach with my 17-year-old. Now I'm starting with my 6-year-old. But starting with my 17-year-old, I coached him in everything he played since he was 5, 6 years old, however long that's been. From there, I got more involved with Iberia Soccer. My son played, gravitated towards that sport, so I gravitated there as well. Ended up joining the board. I served as a board member for about 7 years. 3 of those, I was president of the board. I've also been on the Pepperplex board for about 3 years, I think going on 4. As Scott just shared with you, it's been a bit of a struggle keeping up the Pepperplex. A few of us had some meetings with Mayor DeCourt, and he went over what he saw in his plans and what he thought the city could do. And I'll tell you, I think we all walked away really excited for the potential that this could bring. To tell you a little bit about Iberia Soccer. Iberia Soccer's been around 20 plus years. We've had thousands of kids come through our organization. Matter of fact, right now we're doing registration for this year's soccer season. So if anybody's interested, iberiasoccer.com, and I can get you some more information. Traditionally, how these sport complexes work, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with them, but the sport complex will provide the facility, provide the upkeep, provide the ground that organizations like the one I'm involved with play on. Organization would just administer the league, registration, handle the kids, handle the coaches, do that kind of stuff. But $16,000 in an annual budget for the Pepperplex doesn't really do much for maintenance and keeping up the park. So that ends up falling on the league. So just to give you a comparison, ISA to register for the year is, I think we're at $80 or maybe $85 for the year. Whereas if you go to the local competition, Youngsville, Broussard, or Lafayette, it's anywhere from $150 to $200 for a year. So not only are we half the cost, but we're also bearing twice the load with upkeeping the fields and the grass cutting and the maintenance. At least 50% of our budget goes to upkeeping the fields that we play on. So if this would pass, not only would our fields be better because it would be a lot more money and a lot more going into them, which they've been neglected just from lack of funds, but it would allow us to focus on just running the league and take burden off of our shoulders. So I think at the end of the day, the kids will get more for less, and I think that's ultimately our goal. Scott said not only do we have recreational play for kids, we also have summer camp. We do a middle school league during the winter and some adult league stuff in the summertime. So we're pretty much on those fields year round. I know there's always a big push to retain people in our community, keep them from leaving. And I can tell you, I've seen it a lot. These kids they leave town to play sports every Saturday. Kids are playing sports before they're in school. So before they're even in school, they're already leaving the parish to play sports. And it's just something that I think entices people to maybe move away because other communities have things that we don't. If this does happen, not only do I think it'll be an economic generator, but I think a lot of volunteers, such as myself, a lot of people behind me who have they kind of burn out. You know, it'll be a huge adrenaline shot for us. I think other people, once people see that there's a positive path for the Pepperplex, we'll have even more people step up and want to volunteer. So it'll be a two-way thing. Thank y'all for your time, and I appreciate y'all considering this.
Thank you.
Wes Robeson to comment on agenda item number 5.
Good evening.
Thank you all for allowing us to be here. As a lot of people in the room know, I could talk about this for hours, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I am here not only to show my support for this project, but to beg you, let's make it happen. I'm very passionate about this community, and I'm very passionate about what this can do for our community. My youngest son over there, Tripp, he just turned 7, and he represented the city of Youngsville for All-Stars for the 7 and 8 U, and he had a great time. But we signed him up there. I'm very pro-New Iberia. Broussard, flag football, that's what we're playing. Because it's about the facilities. It's about good, safe facilities as well, you know? And I'm going to be honest, I know we have other parks, and we all have things that we want to do outside of the parks. But I think that this one project is going to allow us to do all those other things. Jonathan hit it. People who love New Iberia living here would drive in 15 minutes to sign our kids up. I just paid $150 this afternoon to sign him up for flag football in another parish. Because I don't feel I have the other option. And we want this. We want it, and I will do whatever I have to do to help you guys, support you guys, make it happen. I just think that it's going to bring not only those other tournaments here that's going to help the restaurants, help the hotels, help the local businesses, but it is going to help us do the other things with the other parks. Because the goal is that parks could be so busy, we need the other parks updated. We need the other parks to grow to where we can have practice fields. and we can have other things whenever that field is hosting those tournaments. And I just think that's some food for thought that we really need to consider. And I just ask for your support. I thank you for all you're doing. New Iberia is a great place. You guys, the things you do on social media to show everyone what you are doing, we haven't had that before. And I thank you all for all of that. And I just ask for the support for this project for the youth of our parish. Tripp, you want a new park? You want a new park? Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tripp.
David Ditch to comment on agenda item number 5.
First off, thank y'all. I didn't know I was going to be speaking tonight, but I want to commend all of y'all for at least taking a chance to bring this forward, give the kids, the residents of Iberia Parish a chance to be heard in regards to recreation. And I guess, I take this from a little different perspective in the sense that I view this as not only an opportunity to increase athletics, bring our kids back. I think we've been hemorrhaging kids as long as I've been here. I came back in 2003. We've been losing families ever since. But whenever I think about this and hear some of the concerns potentially raised about this project, about other projects in the parish, in the city, I keep thinking back to the calls I get every day. I got one today about a family that lost a young child, again, in the city of New Iberia, to needless violence. I think we hear it all too often. But I also get the same calls from Jeanerette, from Lorville, and I'm very fortunate to represent people from those districts. And it's all the same thing, whether it be coming from the preachers, from the parents. They're begging for something for these kids to be able to do outside of get in trouble. Whether this is baseball, softball, an event center, whatever this may come in the future, I think this can be a great start to bringing this city together, bringing this parish together. We have some great facilities, some great leagues in the city and in the parish. But we're missing out on, I read an article today, one World Series in Lafayette, or actually in Youngsville last weekend, generated $5.1 million in tax receipts for that parish. Imagine what we can do for those kids, for those families that are choosing every day to go somewhere else to improve their quality of life. I couldn't be more excited to be serving at the same time that y'all going to potentially pick up a ball on a project this big when we have so many other issues going on in this parish. We have all sorts of things we could be doing with this money. I don't think any of them are as important as these dollars that will be directed towards this park in an effort to not only unify the city, but keep people here. Before we can start talking about bringing people back, we got to keep the people here that are, as Wes said, going to Youngsville, Broussard. Anybody that's even considering, potentially not supporting this project, wanting to direct these funds somewhere else, I just invite you to go one Saturday morning in the fall, one Saturday morning in the spring. Go to a concession stand in Broussard and Youngsville. You will see people from every district of this parish, every district of this city, and it's overwhelming to see how many people, most of them don't live here anymore, but how many people are there on a Saturday morning spending, most importantly, their tax dollars somewhere else. So I just want to tell y'all that I'm very proud of y'all. I couldn't be happier to know that this is on the agenda. It's been a long time coming. I'm very thankful for all the people sitting behind me that put in endless hours of work. I was fortunate to be on the Pepper Lakes board as well. Didn't put in nearly the hours of these guys. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on that facility that I think y'all can turn into something we can all be proud of. Just thanks again.
Thank you. Last one?
Yep.
All right, we move on to item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes of July 20th, 2021, as published on August 1st, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A bunch of them. Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Is there any discussion on our previous minutes? Hearing, seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 3A.
Public hearing on ordinance number 21-12, an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $12,500,000 of revenue and refunding bonds of the City of New Iberia, Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of such bonds and providing for the payment thereof, authorizing an agreement with the paying agent and providing for other matters in connection therewith, and to set for public hearing, that's wrong, that should be to set for public hearing on September 7th.
Thank you. I need a motion to open our public hearing.
Motion.
So moved by Councilwoman Marcotte and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Is there anyone here to comment on this public hearing? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to close our public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Reed
Second.
and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Thank y'all very much. Madam Clerk, 4A.
Ordinance 2021-12, an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $12,500,000 of revenue and refunding bonds of the City of New Iberia, Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of such bonds and providing for the payment thereof, authorizing an agreement with the paying agent, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Swear. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Lewis. Do we have any discussion on this item? And we have a guest.
Oh, man.
Oh, that date will be August 3rd?
Today is August 3rd. I got confused. The
That-
public hearing is actually today. That's what we motioned to open and
Right.
close. and
So
then-
okay.
right, so- Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
No, thank you.
I'll
Thank
call on Jason.
you. All right, thank you. I was going to ask for clarification there, so
Yes, sir.
appreciate that. Jason Akers with Foley Newdell, thank you for having us tonight. With me, David Medlin from Government Consultants, your municipal advisor. The ordinance before you is the second in a three-step process. This really is kind of the linchpin that allows us to take this refinancing and new money opportunity out into the market and see how well you can perform in the market. Just to kind of give you an idea of where things have been so far, with your approval that was granted back in May, we made application to the State Bond Commission. State Bond Commission approved the issuance of the bonds. We prepared the preliminary official statement draft, and we've been working with Standard & Poor's to get an update on the credit rating of the city. We had a very good conversation with him today. I think it went well. I don't want to speak for myself, but I think the conversation today went well. So we're optimistic that you'll see a good rating. This is a great time to be out in the bond market right now, and the chances of saving money versus the outstanding bonds, the 2010B LCDA bonds that are outstanding, plus the opportunity to finance some long-term capital improvements is really hard to pass up right now. I'm going to let David speak very quickly as to the market and what the chances, what things look like now, but understanding that these are just estimates, and we don't have anything locked in place until after the adoption of this ordinance, at which point we can get out into the market.
Well stated. I'll just give you some of the important numbers on the transaction. The par amount, that is the amount you will pay back on the bond, is $12,500,000. You also received a premium, which is money over and above the par amount that gets paid back on the backside in interest. So the refunding bonds, the old bonds took $2.7 million roughly of those amounts. You get construction proceeds for the roads of a little over $12 million. And we had about $250,000 savings on the refunding side. And finally, the interest rates, we're estimating today between 2 and 2.5%, which is a really good rate.
Okay, that's good.
And these replace rates on the old bonds of 3 and 4%.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any questions from the council?
No, I got my answer.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, and like I said, I couldn't give it to you till now. You've been
Yeah.
asking, but we had to get closer to it.
And just to be clear, we still don't know that. That's based on what the expectations are right now. But
Okay.
we're pretty optimistic that the market has been moving in our favor. We hope that it continues to stay in our favor. Our goal is to actually price the week of August, I think it's 23rd, so basically 2 weeks from now. And hopefully by about the time of your next meeting, we'll be able to provide a little bit more firm update at that point.
You mentioned that you guys talked about the credit rating for the city. Did they give you the credit rating yet, or are you going to find that out at a later date?
You have an existing credit rating already that's stable.
Okay.
And we won't know until probably a week and a half from now if they're going to change it up, down, or keep it the same.
Okay.
Indications where they would probably keep it the same. That's less a function of New Iberia right now and more a function of just the municipal market as a whole. The analyst on the call said today, there are very few upgrades that are happening right now. So staying the same is not just treading water. Staying the same is actually an increase over and above what others are doing when mostly they're dropping down.
Okay,
So we're hopeful for a good result.
okay, excellent.
Anything further? Sure.
We are shopping for 10-year bonds, correct? Is that what we're discussing?
These are a 20-year term.
20-year, 20
Yeah, 20-year term.
okay.
Yeah, most long-term capital improvements are on a
Okay,
20-year basis.
Yep. There's no other questions. I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. This is exciting. We're another step down and get our roads fixed. And can't move fast enough. Thank you all very much. And they did an excellent job on the call today. We got the right people. It's coming together. Thank you all again. Madam Clerk, 5A.
Introduction of ordinance 2021-13, an ordinance creating City of New Iberia Economic Development District Number 3 in accordance with and as authorized by Part 2 of Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, defining the boundaries thereof and providing for other matters in connection therewith, and to set for public hearing on September 7th, 2021.
Do I have a motion? Did you say unanimous? I don't know who did what.
Unanimous.
Can we do unanimous?
Yep.
First and second, is that possible? Well, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Why don't we do it first? Yeah.
Okay, so that's unanimous first.
Give it to David, his district.
We'll just do first
Okay,
and second.
first and second. Okay, I need to do it first and second, so
Somebody move.
somebody move. Let's,
David and Brooke. Move.
okay, that's fine. Councilman Broussard, Councilwoman Marcotte, but thank all of y'all. I mean, that's pretty cool. All right, open the floor to discussion. I can go over the whole plan first, or we can have questions, however y'all want to do it.
Why don't you go over the plan?
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
for the
Everybody can
public,
hear.
I say go over the
I do
plan.
too, but I always ask. All right. What we're trying to do is move forward and basically, and there's a lot of people in this room. Many of you have been, since the inception of the Pepperplex, have been there the whole time. You had a vision before every other community. All we talk about is Youngsville and Broussard, but y'all were way ahead of the curve. You had state funding, you got a couple of years down, and then I think it was Bobby Jindal, Governor Jindal pulled the plug, okay? So you have stayed in the game, have hung in there. I know it's been tough, and us as a council, and in my previous council and my first 4 years, all we heard was we need more for our kids to do, and why can't we have what Youngsville and Broussard has? And we've heard that again and again and again, and you guys have hung in the whole time trying to make that happen. So hats off to everybody that's been involved. This has come up, and we think we have a novel way to pay for it and a way to make this happen, and it's all about our kids. So having the Economic Development District allows us to generate some funds and allows us to do a lot of things. So the first thing we did was meet with every group. Pepperplex Board, the Soccer League, Evangeline Little League, even threw in some travel ball people that aren't participating here now for various reasons, and started having meetings, started talking to the council, started thinking, what can we do out of the box that lets us compete? Went to Broussard, met with the mayor. He was very receptive. They have a wonderful facility and a $25 million debt service, okay? We don't have that. But they're rolling. They're doing very well. I said, I don't want to compete with you. I just want to be your little brother. How can, as one aspect of it, can we get some travel ball teams to come here? But that's only one part of it. We're not counting the revenue from that. During the week, I'm especially excited about what it could do for our kids, what it could do as a city facility, how it could change the way our Parks and Recs operates. So, anyway, I'll go over the plan now. Of everything that was a consensus from every group is where we got what the Pepperplex needed. And I even checked with other mayors and said, okay, is this good enough to send people? Because it's a multifaceted, approach. First thing we do is do some paving and driveway for about $200,000. I'm holding that to the last thing, because if I got everything else going and I still didn't have money for my parking, people could park on limestone. But we have a couple $100,000 to go toward parking. We have $750,000 that would turf the 6 infields, not the whole field, but the infields, and everyone said that was good enough. There's $125,000 a field. We have about $150,000 in site drainage. I got to get us out of the mud. We have about $100,000 in dirt work that has to go along with the site drainage. We have about $150,000 to put sidewalks in, because we have many areas, again, I gotta get you out of the mud. We have repairs of about $75,000 to the batting cage. We have some road signage so that we could have a sign and be proud of our park of about $30,000. We have some signage in the park so that you know where you're at, so that we can make it look more professional, have sponsors, those kind of things, in addition to what we already have. But we would have some money to do that additionally. We have about $500,000 to do a new concession stand and restroom building. We have about $50,000 to do landscaping. First impressions count. We've got to get the park to look professional. We have $200,000 to light the large field, something that I know has been needed. We have about $60,000 to resurface the soccer fields and another $85,000 to light that field. That field's much less because one row of the poles are already there, and we're going to take advantage of that. We have $20,000 to put some gates at the entry so some juvenile delinquent doesn't go drive through there. I know my brain works weird, but, you know, I was a juvenile delinquent. We have about $150,000 to go toward architecture and engineering fees to make all the above happen. We have a contingency allowance because it's a very large project of about $250,000. That ramped up to $2.8 million. We went ahead and rounded it up to $3 million, and we will float a bond with the revenues that come in from the Economic Development District to handle this. That could happen as soon as January, we think. By the time we pass this, once we would pass this, I would pull the same trick I've done before and ask my council if they support this to let me move a little bit of money to hire the architects and the engineers so that the prep work could be done, so that when the funds were available in January, we could go out for bid, which is how we built the police department in 6 months, which is, you know, we've done this a few times, but instead of just waiting. Okay, O&M, very important. You can't do something without your O&M. We have $55,000 to hire a director, someone who would only handle this park and work with all the agencies that utilize the park. Maintenance of fields. We would have about $20,000 for the soccer fields, $45,000 for the baseball fields, $15,000 for miscellaneous site repairs, $20,000 for buildings, fences, gates, those kind of things. $35,000 is what our utility bills run. I know that right now the parish does contribute to that. I am planning that it would be a city facility. The city would pay for that. And about $10,000 a year just in miscellaneous marking the fields. So that money would come from this same economic development district. In addition to that, I have to think about my existing parks. One, I have to make new opportunities for all of our kids at the Pepperplex. Well, I'm never going to have a transportation system. I would love to, but I don't think we're going to have one anytime soon in New Iberia. So with another $150,000, we'd actually I bought a brand new van for $35,000, and I bought a van from state surplus. I swear the one from state surplus is nicer, and it cost $7,500. So we put in the budget to buy 2 vans. We will actually bring kids so that they can experience the Pepperplex from other parts of town. I think that's very important that, you know, the recreation department plugs in and we get kids there. We have $100,000 for new programs. Now, we're going to do something a little different. This council is so into what are our kids doing, what new opportunities are we bringing. This will be something that we will work on as a group to help Parks and Rec with what some of those new activities are going to be in this park. And we'll have $35,000 a year to go toward new equipment to make those new activities happen. But I am just as frustrated when I hear there's nothing for our kids to do. Many times there are things for our kids to do, but possibly it's not what they want to do, okay? It's what we offer them. Other times I hear that, and then we try new approaches. I watch Parks and Rec put things on Facebook, start new programs, start new ideas, and not many people participate. So it's kind of a community thing that I think by putting the money into this and doing something new and having a flagship, we might spur some interest not only in the volunteers and kind of recharge them with some adrenaline, but in our community as a whole, in our families and our kids, but in their parents as well, to say there's something new for our kids to do. Let's get them there or help in some kind of way. And then there's about $70,000 left, and that, as always, you have to have a contingency. We put that it would go toward infrastructure. It could go toward any one of these above items because I know that, you know, cost to cost and things have a tendency to cost more or to be raised. But I think it's a good plan. I think we have enough money to pull this off in this economic development zone. We're not relying on any one of the businesses. We have a pretty well-rounded plan. So that's what we're proposing. That's what I met with all the groups. That's what the council and I have been discussing behind the scenes. And I'll open the door for any questions from the council.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I would say, I think it's going to be a good program, especially since we're going to try and reach all the kids throughout the city. I hope that part of that $100,000 we could also use to create some camps to introduce these kids to some of these new programs, because there are a lot of kids in some parts of the city that haven't been introduced to soccer. And soccer is the biggest sport in the world. And there are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there for kids who play soccer, but we need to make sure we introduce it to them so they don't think that softball and football are the only sports that they can play. So maybe some preliminary stuff to kind of, and even to recruit coaches in that community, teach them about the game of soccer, because a lot of people don't have that experience, so that it's more successful. And then as the Pepperplex comes online, this, new Pepperplex, these people will be ready for their kids to compete.
That's the kind of out-of-the-box ideas we're looking for. In other words, to keep that 100,000 within the council in a way and say it's going to Parks and Rec, it's going to the facility, but it's coming from us. Thank you. That's exactly the kind of things that we need if we're going to pull this off and make it something for our whole community. So I appreciate, keep them coming. You got any more? Let me ask you a question. No, I quit. She always tells me that. I'm sorry, I quit clowning. I'm just excited. Who has their hand up next? Mr. Broussard, I think?
Modernization of Pepperplex. Because the time has come to make improvements at the Pepperplex, our visionary Mayor Freddie Decourt has plans in progress to modernize and create a first-class Pepperplex Park. This modernization of Pepperplex Park will be designed for the purpose of providing a special recreational facility for our children, and the facility will be second to none. Our children are our future. The Pepperplex Park is situated on land owned by the city of New Iberia. There is sufficient land not only for the recreational facility, but also lands for fairs and festivals if needed. Special funding will be necessary, and the New Iberia City Parks and Recreational Department will assume responsibility for management and operations of the facility. With Mayor Decourt's plans for the renovation of the Pepperplex Park for our citizens and children would be served the best use of public land. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's in my district. I appreciate the time and effort you put in. Things like this doesn't happen. It's very important for the future of our children, and I'm glad it's in District 3. So let's make it happen, Mr. Decourt,
Thank you.
and the rest of the council. We'll appreciate everybody's on board to make this happen.
Thank you.
I think tonight, this council has a chance to embark on a huge decision to improve the quality of life of our community. It's something I wish I could have voted on in my past 8 years of the parish council, but I didn't have the opportunity, but I do tonight. If I was to ask the question, what is the one investment that could create additional values in home sales, more tax revenue for local businesses, attract new jobs, civil engagement, even opportunity to create public health? What would you say? I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. But a yes vote tonight does all those things plus more. And I don't have to prove it to you. Just look down the road. It's happening. So let's not create the wheel. A yes vote tonight means a lot to our kids, our families of this community, and gives us the opportunity to do much larger things on a larger scale in the future.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Swear.
Thank you. I just have a couple of comments.
Sure.
If I wasn't sitting right here in this seat, I'd be sitting right where you guys are. And the reason I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old boy, and they both play, well, not both, not Tatum yet, but hopefully he will be there. Wyatt does participate in soccer and t-ball. And I was a product years ago of the Evangeline Little League, and I see what was done then, and to be able to have this opportunity today to do that for my kids, I have no choice but to vote yes. I mean, after everything you're getting out of all of this, is when you say kids and you say youth, that's game changer for me. End of discussion. I like the fact as a proponent of our Parks and Rec citywide, I'm thanking the mayor for actually taking into consideration that we'll be taking some of this funding to put into our parks. That's a plus. It actually contributes to everyone, not just what's going on just at the Pepperplex. So that's another plus. But Mayor, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity and giving these people this opportunity to have this done, because I'm not one to send my kids to Youngsville and Broussard, that's for damn sure. So just thanks again, and I hope this comes to fruition, and I know it will under your leadership. So thank you.
Well, thank all of y'all. Can't do it alone. This is a big jump. This is a big challenge. This is another one of many big projects that this council is taking on. So it's all of us.
Mayor, all I was gonna
Councilman
say, I ditto to everybody, what everybody said out there, and I definitely gotta thank all you all for volunteering. I mean, to me, volunteering is the spirit of unity. And I know most of the people that came up, and I know all of them have busy professional lives, and they still volunteering. So thank y'all for that for the many years. I've never been a soccer dad, and I've never been a baseball dad. I got 4 daughters, so I've always been a dance dad. I've been a dance dad, and I enjoyed it. But I've been a licensed professional barber for 29 years. All of my life, I've been a barber, and I had an opportunity to watch the migration leave from travel ball to IYFL. I watched them leave, every Saturday. I was in a barber shop cutting their hair so they can go play a game, and I would hear them say, we're going to play in Abbeville this weekend. We're going to play, this was before Broussard. And then it got to Broussard, and it's like, to make a decision to try and keep our kids here so they can have something to do and bring more revenue to our community. I mean, it's a yes for me all day. It's no comparison. It's not about black and white. It's not about inner. Because I think a lot has changed. We talk about getting our kids there and all of this, and it's good. But this ain't 1975. We didn't have a car when I was growing up. More people got cars nowadays than ever. I don't see transportation, if you want your kid there, being a big issue. But then with our creative mayor, we might go ahead on and write a grant for one of them electric vans. They got some money out there for them.
I got one in.
For them electric buses, man. They got money out there for that, man.
We're trying for 2 electric buses.
And tell them it's for the kids, and we're going to keep the air clean. We're going to get that.
It's true.
We're going to get that, We got a good man, a good green president. We're going to get that. Once we get this, we're going to get that. I don't see transportation being an issue, and I don't see kids who want to play not being able to get there. Because let me tell you, I know some really great baseball guys, and I'm going to call their name. Shane Ullman, Major League Baseball. Ricky Drexler, Major League Baseball. Jamal Lewis, high school baseball. I know some great guys that love this community and want to contribute in this community. And this is a drawing card for them people. This is a drawing card. So it's definitely a yes for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Moorcock.
So I just wanted to point out that we do have a letter in support from Marcus Broussard. I didn't know if anyone was going to read it, but he could not be here. He's on the Pepperplex Commission. He lives in my district, and he's all for it. He's game and ready to volunteer if needed as well. So I just wanted to mention him. He's at home sick right now, so he didn't come. Also, thank all the volunteers for all the years of service you guys have put in. I mean, I met with several of you on face-to-face meetings, and just y'all have put so much into the Pepperplex. So I want it to be something that you guys can be proud of, to be part of this. And all of you should be proud of it as well. I go to Crowley and I see a little small town like Crowley that has turfed baseball fields. They are jam-packed every single weekend. So they bring in tons of money with taxes. People are eating there. People are looking for hotels. They're looking for places to visit in between games. People spend money where they're at all weekend long. So there's no option for me to put no. I'm not going to say no. We're definitely going to go and move this forward on my end. I hope that everyone else does too. I hope that the public understands how important this is for our community. This is going to be a big revenue generator for the parish and for the city. It's going to be a big deal for the children to be proud of this complex, to say that they now play at the Pepperplex. It's going to be really great for them. Parker, do you want the Pepperplex to be renovated? Yeah? Okay. See, another baseball boy right here, ready to play at the Pepperplex. And thank you, Mayor DeCourt, for taking the ball and just running with it. We had a meeting with you, and you just took the ball and ran, and you got all these numbers figured out for us, and we really appreciate it. I think it's going to be a good thing for our community, though. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? And I know Scott Barringer and Troy Como have been on there since the very beginning. I don't know if anybody else in the room, Paul, I know you've been there for a while, but anyway, to try to name everybody, I know I can't, but it's off of y'all's shoulders. We are doing this off of the work that y'all put in, off of the vision y'all had, and I'm sure I'd always got to stand on something, but I'm standing on y'all because this is a big thing, and we are, receiving a whole lot of it from the work that y'all put in for all those years. So, anyway, if there's nothing else, I would ask you to please vote your machines. Thank y'all very much.
One didn't come up.
Well, we weren't supposed to vote.
Yes, ma'am, this is an introduction.
It's an introduction to an
Session,
ordinance.
public
Yes, ma'am.
hearing.
And that way we,
Where am I?
I'm sorry, right here, Father.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
yes, ma'am.
I'm a
No problem.
yes.
Well, thank you. I was getting a little nervous. Thank y'all very much. Madam Clerk, 6A.
Alright. Receipt of $200,000 from Act 119 of 2021, regular legislative session, state aid to local government entities, state general fund direct.
Do I have a motion?
Another half of
Motion by Councilman Lewis, I heard, and Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. I have one thing that I need to add to it. We got a little more information. So at your desk, you'll see this money, it looked like it came with no strings, but it can only be used for infrastructure. So what we are proposing to do, and it's one reason that our discussion item is so far up ahead than it's normally at the bottom. Because later I'm going to ask you to vote for something, but you got to know how you're paying for it. We have a shortfall on the Lewis Street bid that we took to do that one block of Lewis Street before our road program, and it's a shortfall of $53,000. It is infrastructure, though. So I'm proposing that if you allow us to, we would take it out of that $200,000 that we got from Schroeder's office, from the treasurer's office, that was totally with the only string being infrastructure. What we had planned on doing were two other items with it. One was a grant match. I'm always trying to tuck money away for a grant match. I'll find another way to do that. The other, $50,000, is still very important. I'm going to come back to you. We, those of us that got to go to the LMA, we met with LEDA. For the first time, the city would partner with Louisiana Economic Development on its own. They're doing that with one other city right now in the state, and they kind of tentatively, we're going to set some meetings up. We wanted to have a little match money because to really do some economic development here and to work directly with the state agency as a city is kind of a unique opportunity. So we were going to take $50,000 of that to split between that and a new litter program, because Parish Proud, we did our first cleanup, which was also in conjunction with Councilwoman Reed's district cleanup. We've all kind of talked that we would start doing those. Keep Louisiana Beautiful has money under the Lieutenant Governor's office, so we wanted to put about $20,000 up so that we could begin to cash in on some of that and get some programs and get even more aggressive than we have been on cleaning up. But I'll come back to y'all for that because neither one of those really fit infrastructure. So for now, what I'm asking in this discussion item is that we agree to pay for the shortfall of the Lewis Street project, and then the rest of it, which is $147,000, we will find and come back with one infrastructure project. That'll make it easy. It will make our finance director happy because it'll be easy to track that. And so we will find one infrastructure-based project that costs $147,000 and utilize that money for that, and we will meet all the requirements for this gift from the state. Any questions,
I have a question.
comments? Yes, sir.
Does demolition of properties fall under infrastructure maintenance or improvements?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so, but we can get some more from the general fund because we are jamming on cleaning this place up. When those 15 houses are done that we're working on now, I do plan on, we still have some money left that we budgeted, but we will find a way to get more.
Okay.
But no, I don't think we could do it for that. But thanks for thinking that way, because we have to get aggressive with cleaning up, our community. Any other discussion item, comments?
Do you want us to come in and give you a list of things that might be options to spend the money on?
Sure, I'm always open. And I bet you have a bunch of them, but I'm always open to that, and y'all know that, so, keep them coming.
I'll send you a list.
Okay, but on this item, is there any other, because like I said, it's important later, because when we vote on the Lewis Street, I want y'all to know where it's gonna be funded from. Is there any other discussion on this? None? Thank y'all, then we will move on to 6B.
Resurgence of COVID-19. Venus Deidre Ledbetter.
As most of you know, COVID-19 has been a pet peeve of mine throughout this whole pandemic. I've always urged people to get vaccinated and wear your mask and, at different times, wash your hands and all of those kinds of things, social distance and all. Well, it seems like we thought we were going out of the pandemic, but now we're definitely right in the heart of it again. I looked at the internet today, and yesterday we had a total of 8,708 cases in our parish and 166 deaths. Today we have 8,844 cases. Luckily, we haven't added any deaths, but that's an addition of 136 cases in one day. Mainly, I think, because we only have 21,776 people fully vaccinated, which is roughly 30%. We have 25,592 that have had at least one shot on their 2-shot dose, which would be 35%. But as you know, if you listen to the news today, the United States as a whole has reached 70% with at least one shot on their 2-shot vaccination. So we below about 35% here in our area and Louisiana in general. But I'm very concerned about our parish. As of yesterday, our governor did put in the mask mandate, which will start tomorrow. I think it's for the best. I was going to ask our mayor to at least do it, even if the governor had not done the mandate, to do it for our city employees. The city employees come into contact with people every day. It's very important that they stay safe and keep others safe as well. If somebody in a department gets COVID and has been in the proximity of the rest of the people in the department, that could shut the whole department down. For example, our police department, which I know is under this 30% vaccinated. I don't know how our mayor can get them to get vaccinated. Maybe some kind of incentive would help, along with the fire department too, because most of them are not vaccinated also. These are people that come in contact with people daily. Back before things had gotten better, a friend of mine called a police officer to her house. We're talking about parole people, the patrol officers. So she called him to her house, and he came without a mask on. And I asked our chief, does the police patrol officers, do all the officers have a mask? In fact, he said, yes, they all have a mask, and it has a little logo on it. And he was also ordering some that they could keep around their neck and just pull up, which would be really easy. But I have yet to see one patrol officer with a mask. Now, the police officers, their job is to protect as well as serve. So if you're gonna protect, you need to wear your mask. So I'm gonna ask our mayor, to really try hard to get our people vaccinated, and the people in this building too need to be safe. I know the mask mandate is coming starting tomorrow, and I hope it's fully mandated, and that you really put your foot down about it here with our city employees, that they wear their masks, especially when they're dealing with the public. If they go to somebody's residence, they need to have a mask on. If they're outside, that's different. But if you're going face to face with somebody, you need to protect them as well as yourself, because it can, and that's how we have this extra 136 cases today from yesterday, because it's spreading wildly. So nobody wants to wear a mask. I don't like to wear a mask, but I do wear my mask. I've never stopped wearing my mask. And I think that the only way we can get out of this pandemic is by doing what we need to do. Now, we need to wear our mask, and we definitely need to get vaccinated. So I'm glad that our governor did say that we're going to have to mask up again, but we also need to be vaccinated. I know we have improved somewhat in the last few days with the increase in cases. People are feeling a pinch that maybe I should get vaccinated because so-and-so's in the hospital. Cousin is in ICU. They're on a respirator. They're in a coma. We know people that are in those conditions, and it gets close to home. And children now are becoming, victims to COVID. It was thought before that it was kind of hard for them to get it, but with this new strand, Delta, it's getting to them. So if you have a child at least 12 years old, you need to get your child vaccinated, if at all possible, to protect them, because they have long haulers. People that have had COVID, they can't breathe right now. It's been months since they had it. They can't breathe properly. Some people are still on oxygen. Some people have lapse of memory. Their short-term memory is just gone. Some people, their sense of smell and taste, left, and it hasn't come back yet. But oftentimes we don't think about those long-term effects. We think about, well, it's not that bad, and I didn't have too much. It's like a bad cold or something. But now people are getting it again. I know my neighbor had it, same person, he's got it again. Twice. You think you're immune to it once you get it, but you're not. And if we don't get a handle on it now, what's going to happen is it's going to mutate again, and then the vaccines are not going to be effective, and it starts all over again. So it's not about a personal freedom, I would think. It's about a choice that, you want to stay alive, and you want the people around you to stay alive and be healthy. So, Mayor, I hope that our city employees, that you enforce it, the mask mandate, especially with our patrol officers and our firefighters, and encourage them in some way to get vaccinated. Maybe you can offer them an incentive of half a day off, or something. Be creative. about it. You say we are creative, so you be creative about it to get them on the ball, to protect our community, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be protecting, looking out for our community. The Pepperplex is a great thing for our community. We need to be healthy too, in order for all of this to go through.
Thank you.
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments on our discussion? Yes, sir.
Okay, so I respect the governor's decision of the mask mandate, but so from what I'm hearing from you is that you want, or you requesting that the mayor make our officers, make the firemen wear the masks. I get that. But as far as being vaccinated, my opinion, I think that's a little far-fetched. I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just saying that's a right that someone has, because maybe they're not sure if they want to take it or they don't want to take it, or they want to. So I don't know if we can really, is that constitutional to push that on employees? Maybe that's a Jeff question?
No, the thing was to encourage them to be vaccinated. I said to give an incentive. You hearing what you would like to hear. I said incentivize those people to get their vaccinations.
So like days off with pay or something of that nature? Well, I'm not hearing what I like to hear. I heard you loud and clear. So, even though I do have lack of hearing, but it's okay.
Don't get it twisted.
Oh.
We talked about this a while back in kind of a different little bit of context, but just generally speaking, I just want to remind everybody that statewide, the authority for emergency declarations and emergency measures is the governor. And the governor's made some declarations, and I think we need to listen to what he says. And I think he's given us information that we need to hear. On the parish level, the responsibility for emergency response is in the parish president. And I don't know, we haven't mentioned the editorial or article or whatever it was in the paper on Sunday, but I thought Larry Richard did a really good job and was a real leader in expressing what he thinks we need to do, and I agree with him, to address this pandemic. On the local level, emergency response, except dealing with employees, is not in this building, it's in the parish council. So, Larry's the leader on that, and I think he's stepped forward, and I appreciate it. I think he's done a good job. As far as supervision of city employees, under the charter, that's up to the mayor. So that is the mayor's judgment call. He deals with them on a day-to-day basis, on their quality of service, on discipline, on everything else. So I think that's his call. But, I think what we've heard tonight is a request and an appeal, which I think is perfectly appropriate. We're not directing anybody to go get a vaccine at this point, although I think it's a good idea, but government is not saying that at this level. So, just want to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
No, I gotta agree with Ms. Ledbetter, and I realized she was asking you to incentivize. Again, the barber shop is a wealth of information. I know companies like or corporations like the railroad. They're doing some creative things, and the NFL is doing some creative things, and some of the things they're doing is just incentivizing those people to get vaccinated. I'll be honest with you, they putting pressure. The railroad putting pressure. They're saying if you're not vaccinated and you test negative, if you're not vaccinated, you got to get tested. I think it's every 3 days. If you test positive, you're off with no pay. They pushing the envelope to wherever they can push it so people get vaccinated. NFL is kind of doing the same thing. National Football League. So when I look at my police officers, I look at, again, to protect and serve, and I also look at them as leaders of our community. Don't take the vaccine, but wear your mask. If you don't respect the science, respect the virus. it'll kill you. And it'll kill somebody else if you carrying it. So respect the virus if you don't respect the science. You know, there was a case this morning. I watch CBS Morning News every morning. And there's a little girl, 18 years old, that was thrown down to the ground by a police officer because she was supposed to be delusional and walking in front of cars. And he was trying to save her because she was supposed to be mentally ill. And he was holding her down, and everybody said, oh, he's wrong for the way he handled her or whatever. That's another issue. But the end of the report was the officer had COVID-19, and he wasn't wearing a mask. So there are some instances out there, or incidents out there, that officers are not protecting and serving, or serving and protecting. They're just serving. So if you're going to be a part of the protection piece, I think, you know, if it's officers or firefighters or what have you, they need, and we're not just trying to get them to protect themselves from the public, but we're trying to get them to be protected from the public as well. You know, and I'll tell you, me and Ms. Ledbetter hadn't had not one conversation about this, but I'm serious about this virus as well. More so because I don't want to see the country shut down again. We're talking about redoing the Pepperplex, but guess what? If we tax whoever we tax, guess what? They shut the country down. Ain't nothing happening. You know, so we need to look at it from that standpoint and not look at it as so political and not look at it as so selfish. I got mine, you get yours. I mean, we always talk about unity. I mean, you don't have, again, I'm not saying get vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. My whole family's vaccinated. I just fussed at my 18-year-old daughter yesterday. And she was, I don't know if I'm going to get vaccinated. No, you getting vaccinated. I'm sorry. Because I ain't going to no funeral. I'm going to protect you in every way I need to. You know what I'm saying? And like I tell to those people that thought for those who thought the vaccine was going to kill you or they put a chip in you, well, guess what? The chip been in you since you had to take the shots to go to school. It been in you. If the government want to kill you, they can kill you with this. They can kill you with anything your television can watch it. Come on, man. Protect the society so we can move forward, man, and get this country back to where it needs to be financially.
Thanks.
That's it.
Anybody else? I see Dustin has his hand up again, but I want to see if anybody has remarks first, so you have to wait till the second round. Brooke?
I just want to ask a question. I know NIPD has the net gaiters like what you have on, and they're nearly impossible to get over your head. Do they have these style, like what I have as well?
Mostly neck gaiters.
Oh.
Mostly neck gaiters. Now, and I'll just stop some of this real quick. Today, my chief put out a memorandum to all of the officers that as of tomorrow, this is back in place. So did my fire chief. So did the rest of my departments. And then I had sent out through my office one to all of my department heads as well. We passed out PPE today. Many of my departments still had some left, but I had a supply of masks and sanitizer and all the stuff we need. I had a little stash, hoping I didn't have to use it again, so that went out today. And then I talked to Emergency Preparedness today, and they have a good stock if I run low. So, I mean, the preparations are coming. I will have already taken the steps once I saw that this was coming, and have had many conversations with Councilwoman Ledbetter prior to this, so we're working on it. And, you know, I do appreciate the concern, and I understand that people have opposing views and different reasons for that, and all I want to do is get this over with. So I take my cue from the state and the parish and what's mandated. You know, I will work on enforcing what's mandated. We already put the signs up on the building. We're not forcing anybody today. Tomorrow, when you come in, you will have to. We work closely with the sheriff, and he and I have been in talks today, as well as with the PD staff of what they're doing. You remember last time we pulled back and changed some of the ways we operated to not have so much interaction to protect those officers so that they could keep coming to work and protecting us. We're kind of looking at what options we have and what things we might put in place again that were in place last time. But we're kind of doing it in conjunction to kind of be on the same page with the sheriff's department. So the sheriff and I talked today. We're going to have a conference call tomorrow with my assistant chief and the sheriff again, and kind of make sure that we're on the same page. So we are putting these things in place because I don't want our economy to shut down. I want things to keep rolling, and I do realize we have to take some steps so that we do not get shut down. So anyway. Councilman Swear.
For the record, I'm not anti-vaccine or anti-mask. Just wanted a clarification of where you were going with it as far as the vaccination goes. So I'm just putting that out there.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, as always, a good discussion. These normally occur at the end of our meeting, but because of a financial issue, you get to see it at the middle. We have one more, which I know I'm taking your job. 6D, Jimmy, come on up.
No, we missed C.
6C, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind, Jimmy. See, I shouldn't take over these things. I'm sorry. It's Councilwoman Ledbetter again. Thank you all for coming.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
At our last meeting, Ms. Blanchard came before us and she gave us kind of an overview of the parish reapportionment plan that was voted on in 2019. However, she didn't have anything physical besides a map on the screen to provide any additional information for us. And we did ask for some, and she did send some. And I also spoke to the president, the chairman of the parish council, who's my council, parish councilman, Warren Gosherson. He got me some information. And it was very confusing, I guess, because it was 4 sheets. There was previous polling sites, and then they had the current polling sites. So you had to combine the two to see which ones were closed and which ones would still be open. Same thing with the number of people. And it was very hard, and it was before and after. So I put it together all on one so you could see the sites that would be closed. In District 1, as you can see, you have 2 places that are closed. And I highlighted the closures because those we need to take note to. There are a lot of them that are closed. And on the information that was received, I gather that most of these, especially like in District 1, everybody's going to have to go to the Martin Luther King Center to vote and not the other places. In some places, it wasn't that clear where you would go. Sometimes you would be split between the 2 sites. However, everybody who's affected, which is a total of 22,313 people that'll be affected by this for our election that's coming up in October. You will be sent out new registration cards to tell you where your precincts are by August the 5th. That'll be later this week. But on your card, it's probably only gonna say a precinct and a number. And I guess those of you who don't know the numbers of the precincts, they're up there now. But if you don't know, you need to call the registrar and ask where you would be voting. If you're in a certain district, where will you be voting? Because you have a precinct number on the card. It's going to be very confusing because that's only for the October election, which will be our city marshal. And then redistricting comes into play. So this is only for a 1-year thing. And then we'll all kind of get together with the town halls and all of that and really, really do it. But I think it was just a terrible mistake to do this for 1 year and close down places, so say to maybe save money. I think that voting is a right, and you should not cut. If you're going to cut anywhere, voting should not be one of those cuts. I mean, there's lots of other places that you can cut the budget, but voting should be something that you want to expand. Instead, we contracting it. And I was surprised, I really was at our last meeting, that here in New Iberia, things were contracting rather than, either staying the same or even opening up a little bit more. I mean, I've heard about other places, suppressing voters, really consolidating. I said, oh, no, that can't happen here. And then last week happened. And then we find out it was back in 2019 that this took place for, say, this one election. And none of us were informed about it. None of the school board members, none of you all were informed about it. It was voted upon. And I think that was unfair for the parish council to actually do that. But it was something that, they had the right to do, and they did. And now I'm sure they're thinking about it and thinking that that was not a good move, especially since, we have this citywide election going on. But just to go through some of it, since I did put it together, because it was hard to really understand. Like in District 2, you have 2 places that are closing. And the closures are highlighted. The only place, the only one on this first page is in District 4. Nothing's closed. Nothing changed in District 4. And but right below it in District 5, which is my district, and I voted at Pesson Elementary, everything is pretty much closed except Iberia Middle. So I used to vote at Pesson Elementary, and now I have to go to Iberia Middle, which is outside the city limits. And I'm thinking about the people that were voting at St. Francis Diner. She talked about St. Francis Diner when she was here, but all they would have to do is go across the street. Evidently not. If they're the District 5 people, they go into Iberia Middle. Some of the people that voted at St. Francis Diner may be going to across the street, but not the District 5 people, which that, will cause some problems, I think. Moving right along to the next page, District 6 had no closures at all. In District 7, they only closed down one precinct, and it's also in the city park, but it involved 959 people. So they'll be split within these other polling sites. Also in District 8, same thing. One site was closed, they're split between the others. In District 9, the same thing occurred. Even though they still have voting at Laurelville Elementary, but not at that particular precinct. So the last page, 10, it's not too bad with 10. But I was surprised that Avery Island, and they said with District 10, Avery Island remains the same because they pay for their own voting. However, we, I guess, as a group weren't given that opportunity to maybe pay for your own polling place to stay open. We weren't afforded that opportunity. But look at District 11. District 11, everything is closed except the recreation building. And of course, that's the Generate area. Part of it's in Generate and Wilbraham and Grand Mary, that rural area. All of those places are now consolidated at the Recreation District Building number 8. So everybody's gonna go there. In District 12, the same thing pretty much happened. And there were places that people were voting, but they weren't on the list. There was a precinct 4, 5, and 6, and they didn't have anything that was known, no names there. But everybody's going to go to King Joseph Recreation Center, evidently for 12. So the rural areas, it seems like they consolidated a bit. And it's gonna be hard for those people that live in the rural areas to go maybe 8 miles further than they were going. To me, that's a definite type of suppression, because if I don't have a car, I'm gonna get 8 miles further, and I used to walk across the street, or I used to walk 2 blocks down, and now I have to go 8 miles. I don't think at any point making voting harder should be something that the parish or the city or anybody should be doing. It should be easier to vote. We should be thinking of innovative ways to make it, say, incentivize those people who are not registered are of age to vote. Drive-through voting like they're doing in Texas, 24-hour voting, extending, of course, your early voting. I think that's something that possibly should be done, because all of these closures, people not going to know where to go. Well, the early voting time should be expanded, and maybe open up some different places besides at the registrar's office. I mean, if you're going to close all these places for this election, you got to, I would think, make some kind of, make it easier for all of this to happen. And I don't know what the plan is to do that, because I know a lot of people are going to show up at these places and be lost. Some of you might show up at these places and nobody's there, or they telling you need to go somewhere else. It's going to be very confusing in October. It really is. And then to change it in 2022 to somewhere different, it's going to be twice as confusing again. This is something that our parish council did, and I think now that it's done, they rethought about it, but of course it's too late to do anything about it because it's locked in for this year. I did ask about that, if they could rescind it, and of course the answer is no, because it's locked in for now. The point was they were going to save money, but you're sending out cards to 22,000 people, and you're going to do that twice. That's going to cost money because you're mailing them out. You're going to have people at the polling sites to redirect and direct people to where they need to be. That's going to cost money. Yes, the people, the commissioners, and the people that normally work at those sites that are closed, they won't be there anymore. And to me, that's an issue too, because you look forward to seeing those same people there, because they're always the same people. You get to say hello, how you doing today, and all. It's a friendly kind of thing. Now they won't be there, and a lot of them, they're retirees, and it's kind of like a little outing, and it's also a little pay to help them. So we're cutting that out also, and that's an issue. I hope when this comes up again, and I think when this comes up again, that we will be involved in it, the community will be involved in it and have a big input. I think 64 places was not bad. It has been like that for years and years and years. I think we needed to expand it more, in order cutting it down by almost half. And that's what I have.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion from anybody?
I would say I agree with Councilwoman Ledbetter. We do have a transportation issue in New Iberia. We have a fourth of the people in the city of New Iberia that don't own a car, and there's another fourth that actually owns only one car. So there's a lot of those people are seniors, and so it's going to be very difficult for them to get to polls. So I hope that some of our nonprofit agencies will step up and really help get these people to the polls, because otherwise it could affect candidates that are running for office, people who might have had an opportunity to win may not have that opportunity, because if people are confused about where they have to go to vote and they don't have a transportation to get to the new polling station, then they're not going to vote. That's it.
Any other discussion?
My only comment is it's confusing. Still confusing, but
My concern is longer lines.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
a long, when you make people wait,
yeah, that's another thing.
that can be, that just all it's adding up to is longer lines. And I'm gonna go early vote and bypass all that, but either you have to go later in the day or
Early in the morning.
it's gonna be longer lines, so that's my point.
No other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes down to the actual redistricting, what role does the Secretary of State play in the whole? I mean, because I know they, just based on population or census, so is it necessarily on the, I would say, Ms. Blanchard's back or the parish council's back as far as the redistricting goes, or is that something that's in control by the Secretary of State?
Once the census is accepted, we hire a demographer ourselves, and the parish does the same thing, and we go through the redistricting process.
Okay.
It has to be certified by sent into the state and certified by the state, but that's gonna fall on us, and I'll be bringing a proposal to y'all at some point, once the census is accepted officially, and those numbers are certified. I'll be bringing a proposal to do exactly that, to hire a demographer and start down the road of our redistricting. The parish will have to do the same thing. The state will certify the results, once that process has all been met. But this is two different animals. In other words, this is something that happened in the interim, and then it's very weird. We thought we would be finished with our marshal's race, to tell the truth. We had a marshal, and we ended up having to go through some changes, and we're heading where we're heading. But that is an unexpected thing, to be fair to everybody, because that happened, not in a regular election cycle. So I hope that answers your question.
Somewhat.
Okay.
I mean, maybe Ms. Blanchard can come back. Did she say she was gonna come back at any time?
No, she said she would send the information to us, and that's the email we received.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was all of those 4
And
sheets.
when we get whatever additional information, and Councilman Ledbetter, you put a lot of time into this, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate
Once
that.
we get, more information that maybe we could discern something from what you did and what we're sent, we're all about trying to get the voters out and get the information out. So we'll use our website, we'll use Facebook, we'll use whatever. Once we would know where to send people and what to do, what you did gives us an outline anyway. So as we have more information, we're certainly going to pass it on to try to ease up any confusion. And the good thing is we have a week of early voting, so that does help, that when you at least notify people, hey, you might have a problem or you have to go somewhere else, we have that whole week that it might help them to correct their issue or to understand where to go. But like I said, one step at a time. You put a lot of work into that, so we'll use it any way we can to clear this up.
I encourage people to sign up for mail-in voting. They can just mail their ballots in, especially seniors.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, just want to mention, the Go Vote app, like she said, is live and it's up to date. So we maybe as elected officials and then also the candidates running might want to tell everyone that they can refer to that website. If they don't have the internet, then we can help out with that, obviously. But that's a way to find out exactly where you vote. If the voter card doesn't have the location, I don't remember what mine looks like. I'm so used to the app, so. But if it's not going to have a location, online will.
Good information.
Man, all I want to say is go out and vote. Go try to vote where you used to vote. Don't be discouraged. Be encouraged. I was sounding like a Debbie Downer. Go out and vote. Take a chance and have points in the right direction. And if you're running, still take a chance. Go out, get your people out to vote. Vote, 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 regardless.
Thank you.
I did want to ask our clerk of court before he left, but he left before this came up. Is he going to have people at all of the old sites to redirect I know she said, Ms. Blanchard said that people would be at the new sites to help out. But the old sites is where you're gonna have problems that are closed. And you're gonna have a sign, just a sign on the door saying whatever.
Okay. Any other discussion? Well, thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. That was a lot of work. And now I can turn it over to you.
James Landry to give an update on recently demolished structures.
Okay, at the last meeting, Ricky asked me to bring some houses that we had demolished before and after. So we got 3 or 4 coming up. That's 503 Bayard before. And there it is after.
Yay.
Yeah, we do need to show our victories.
Next one's 520 Cauldron Lane. After.
Yay.
809 Mixon. That's where they would, everything on the back of the house was gone. That's that one. And 1104 Sis.
Yes, indeed.
413 West Washington and 314 St. Jude.
Yeah. Those are horrible.
That's the after. And that's 5 that we had.
Keep up the good work.
All right.
Good, and Jimmy, to stay on track, we're bringing the next group.
Well, the next meeting, I'm gonna bring some compliance issues,
Okay.
trash, tires, gas tanks, grass. So I'm gonna bring those pictures at the next meeting, and then after that meeting, I have 8. After that, I have 8 more that are gonna come up.
And some of them are potential, because what we're trying to do is show people, hey, these are next up if you want to take care of it before, because we've had some victories with that.
Correct.
Good. But I like this. I think that showing what we've accomplished and continuing to load the gun, we have some money to go toward this. We have some money in the general fund waiting. I'm very serious, as is this council, about cleaning up. I love the new way that we're saying tear down and you have 30 days, and if you don't meet the 30 days, on the 31st day, we're gonna go ahead and demo it, just to keep this pace up. It takes such a long time. How many months do you think it takes from when we first see one and say, well, from when a council person calls it in?
If you don't have any revisits, about 6 months.
Yeah. So we have to keep loading the pipe if we're really gonna, in a year, make that difference. We
The
budgeted
biggest
$100,000 this year.
Is when you're getting started. It takes about 2.5 to 3 months to get people notified, just the public hearing.
Yeah.
Then after the
Yeah.
public hearing, that's when you can move pretty quick, but it is a process after the public hearing to get them tore down. You gotta go
No.
out for bid, you gotta do asbestos removal, all that kind of stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Brother, I got a comment, just
Yes, sir.
general comment.
Sure,
not-
sure.
Those people who got those properties tore down next to their houses, pay your yard man another $5 to keep it up when you cut your grass, because that's gonna be the next issue. High grass. A good neighbor
503 I
cut his,
turned in already.
yeah, a good neighbor cut his neighbor's yard when he down anyway, so I do it at the few little pieces of property I got, I cut them.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, 7A.
Resolution 21-79, a resolution authorizing the publication of a notice describing the proposed boundaries of City of New Iberia Economic Development District Number 3 and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Do I have a motion? Motion by
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. We have any discussion on this item? And I see that Jason's back up. I'll call on him.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the boring but necessary part of the vision and dream you were discussing earlier. To begin the process, to create the district, we have to publish notice of intent. It gets published twice in the official journal. Then there'll be a public hearing. This goes along with the ordinance that was introduced earlier. This is, there will be multiple steps throughout the process. This is the first one, and we'll keep you informed throughout as each one of them come up. And we're happy to answer any questions throughout the process, whether they come up tonight or any other time. Just let us know.
Any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
So this is gonna be smooth sailing the whole way, right?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, yes.
Okay.
So,
I'm just hopeful that everything goes well.
yes.
Okay.
Well, I will say, we've put the planning in up front to know when the actions need to be taken and the steps. So we're optimistic that that will flow as expected. And obviously, you've had a lot of support here tonight, so I think that will, that'll speak volumes as we move throughout.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one.
Yes.
Do you think that all of our constituents understand what we mean by economic district? Should we define that for them and what that means to them?
Sure. Sure.
Officially in the resolution, or?
No, just
Just now?
because it's going to be on TV, and so some of them will hear it.
Yeah, sure. An economic development district is a special district authorized by statute. The city council has authorization to create it on its own motion without, just with a public hearing process, without a vote or otherwise. Once created, the economic development district becomes a special district, a separate political subdivision, but it has certain rights as a separate political subdivision, one of which includes the authority to levy particular taxes in accordance with law. That is the revenue generation mechanism that would allow you to then move into funding the improvements at Pepperplex and otherwise. So there is, there's, as I mentioned, right now, we're just creating the district. Once we create the district, then we'll have the next conversations about what the next steps are and what that revenue generation looks like.
So, and I'm just going to simplify it.
Please do.
I just want people to understand is that what we're doing is we're creating another tax to fund the changes, the improvements that we're making. And so it's a good thing, but I want them to understand what this is about, because I know some people won't understand what economic development district is all about. And so they'll see it on their receipts when they go to certain stores. Thank you.
Anybody, other comments? Questions? All right. Hearing none, thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you very much. Now we move on to 7B.
Resolution 21-80, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a certificate of substantial completion from Tilden, Bonnet, Contractor Incorporated for the painting improvements to the Bank Street Park basketball court pavilion.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter and a second by the Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Is there any discussion on this item?
I just want to say that it looks much better underneath. I mean, the part where the concession stand and the restroom area, it's got much to be desired, but
We're gonna need to deal with that.
eventually, yeah,
No, and I know that.
that's up and coming, but the part that is done, it really looks good, so.
No, when you and I walked, you remember we talked about let's get this painting and get the rust stopped and get it looking decent, and then that's gonna be the next phase.
Yeah, we got to get rid of that porta potty. Cannot.
Any other discussion? Then I would ask you to please vote your machines. Thank y'all. 7C.
Resolution 21-81, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a certificate of substantial completion from Ricky Smith Audio for the audio-visual improvements in the New Iberia City Council chambers.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Marcotte. Do we have any discussion on this item, on our new equipment?
Can y'all hear me?
Sound good.
Seeing and hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank you. Money well spent. Madam Clerk, 7D.
Resolution 21-83, awarding contract to Glenn Leger Construction LLC for the South Lewis Road Improvements Project.
Motion.
Do I have a motion? By Councilman Broussard and Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, the two people that put some money up, so they wanted to make the motion, right? Yeah, good investment. We have to do a correction, so 7D is your correction, and Madam Clerk, what changed? it's okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Okay, so what changed was that we added each contractor that was emailed and requested a bid from. And then in the, third paragraph, it just outlines where the money is coming from in order to fund this project.
Which is also why we moved all of our discussion items up, so that we could use some of the money from the treasurer to cover this shortfall that we had. So I'll open the floor to any questions, comments?
So what caused the overrun? What, did they underbid it? Why do we?
Small, messy, our engineer's here, and we can call John up. Basically, a small, messy job with a lot of traffic conditions at a time of COVID when prices are increasing and contractors are busy. So the combination of all of that, I feel, as a contractor myself, that's what did us,
Okay.
made the price go up.
Okay.
I had conversations with the low bidder, and it's like the mayor said, it's a combination of, they have a lot of work going on right now. They are severely shorthanded, and they're gonna have to shift resources from another job to come do this. It's a quick emergency repair, and the short time frame we're asking to do it in compounds it. Some of the pricing we received was way out of the norm. I mean, there was 3 and 4 times what I expected as a normal, what I would consider a normal price on a normal project. And I had to verify that because, we're in the process of bidding out, estimating much larger projects. So I wanted to make sure that the industry itself hadn't gone completely crazy. And, we were still within our means for our other project we're working on. It's just a combination of things right now. We pick contractors that, one, are local, because this is an asphalt project. You only have so many plants in the local area that actually make the asphalt. You can't, it's not like concrete. You can haul concrete from a larger area. With asphalt, it needs to be within close proximity because it's a temperature thing. And there's less asphalt plants than our concrete plants. We only have 4 asphalt plants in the whole Acadiana area. So that kind of limits you on who you can really pull from as far as a contractor with resources. Another compounding issue is the traffic control that's going to be needed for this project. Because we're in between 2 state highways, we have to get a permit from DOTD just to better have them approve the traffic plan, because it's going to be a one-way road during the duration. So it's a lot of traffic control. So we went to a smaller contractor just to have another option, but he doesn't make his own asphalt, so he's not as competitive because he has to buy the material from someone who does. And then one guy said he was going to submit a price, and he didn't. Just they can't fit it in their schedule. It's just that much work going on. There's a lot of state work going on in our area, not necessarily in Iberia Parish, but the surrounding communities, and just other municipal work. So that pretty much was why the price is way higher than what we estimated it to be.
And that would be the case for both contractors that submitted bids?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When can we expect it to be finished?
Generally, once you approve, it takes about 30 days to get a contract issued, because we got to get bonds, insurances, and all that stuff checked. It's got to get executed, filed, and they have, it normally takes 30 to 45 days once they start. And with this project, this is going to have to be a severely advertised and scheduled construction because of this traffic situation. So the earliest you're going to probably see it start is about 45 days once you approve.
Okay.
But, you might better get a little quicker if we push them, but, you have contracts, you have, legally so many days to process paperwork and whatnot. So by the time we get the contract executed and we have a pre-construction, it normally runs about 30 to 45 days.
Okay,
And then,
gotcha.
but it's a short, the time frame on this job is, I think, 20 days max.
Okay,
So it's gonna be a quick fix or a quick construction time, because we don't want it to drag on.
right.
So within about 20 days, they'll have to be complete, otherwise they'll get charged with the damages,
Okay,
which nobody wants to be charged with the
right,
So
right.
when we start, it's gonna be there, and they're gonna be working.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing, seeing none. I'd ask you to please vote your machines. And before I let you go, can we talk about we took steps tonight for the bond, so we know a schedule with that. When do you, just tentatively, when do you think you'd be ready to come to have our first look at the roads you selected?
I would like to have a final package by the end of this month,
Okay,
but we have completed all the fields, we call them surveys, not
Yeah.
really surveys, more field.
correct. Inspections, whatever you want to call them.
Inspections to come up with stuff. I'm working on the estimates for District 1. I still have the estimates for District 6 to do. So between this week and next week, I'll have all the estimates completed
Okay.
for everything in the city. Now, we rode every city street in the entire city of New Iberia,
I know that.
with the exception of state roads and Iberia Street, because you were looking at doing that through an NPO.
Yes.
So we left him off the list. But just in Districts 1 through 5, we have 110 miles of roads. That's not including District 6, 'cause I don't have them entered in the database yet.
Right.
So I'm working towards that. So
Good.
my plan is first to have a meeting with the city, and then I would like to individually meet with each council member to discuss their district. That way you can see, I want to have enough information where you can see what kind of roads you have in your district, how many of each type you have in your district. We're going to come with a recommendation, but it's not going to be, our recommendation is not going to be just to fix the worst road. At some point, the city has to progress themselves past fixing just the worst road. Otherwise, you'll never catch up. You're not catching up now. I mean, it takes a lot of money to fix roads, and the previous administration spent a lot of money on roads. If you don't do something to maintain those now, in 10 years, you're gonna spend all that money all over again. Because you're only gonna get about a 20-year life cycle out of a fixed road. So, that's the lifespan. The engineered lifespan of a road is 20 years.
20 years.
So we're already 10 years into the first road project we did. We did them in 08, 09, 10, and 15. So your 15-year roads, they're beautiful. They're still in great shape. But your 08, your 09, your 10 roads, they're starting to show the age. So if we don't do a little bit of work on them now, 10 years, you're going to spend 4 times as much to fix them all over again. So we're going to come to you with that. At the end of the day, you have the choice to make on what you want to fix, but it's just going to be our recommendation to you.
That's
'Cause
fine.
if we don't start catching up at some point, we're never going to catch up. So, and to do a minor repair, like I said, it's a fraction of the cost. And that buys you, in most of the times, 5, 10, sometimes 15 more years out of the same road where you don't have to touch it again. So it's just one of those things of planning and trying to get ahead of the curve, which takes, it takes a lot to do so.
Oh, yeah,
So,
no.
But
Well, it took a lot to get us back to this
Yeah.
point, so, one step at a time.
I don't want you to lose all the money you spent on
I
other
understand.
projects, because the previous administration did do quite a few streets within the city. So, I want to give you as much information as I can, that when we come to the table,
Good.
we have a plan that pretty much everybody already agrees to.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen this month, and we'll get with you the schedule.
That's great. The more communication, the better. I'm
Give
sure
you
that
all
every
that.
council person looks forward to that, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
They want their input. We're a team, so I think that's great. Let's,
After next
But I want
week-
you to approach it the way you
Oh, yeah, I
are.
know,
These
I
are the
know.
worst streets. These are the ones that are the most unsafe in each district. No politics, no
Well,
whatever.
it-
And give me the lowdown on this is the maintenance you should do
Yeah, every
if
street
you want to,
has
and then we'll
a
go from there.
grade. Every street's going to have a grade.
Good.
Now, some of the streets, we have issues with the railroad company, so
Yeah.
that's something we'll have to discuss if we want to engage those guys, because that compounds the problems.
Yes, sir.
So, but at the end of the day, our goal is to get each of you your information within the district. It's not just a district, but the city as a whole, because a lot of your districts share streets.
Yeah.
It's split down the middle. So, we can't fix one half of the road. We gotta have buy-in from the adjoining districts in order to fix the whole road.
That's it.
So, but, we're
Good.
hoping to
I
get all that
just
to you this
wanted
month.
the public and my council to hear that not only are we taken the financial steps, but we're well down the road of taking the engineering steps, and that we'll all be involved, and it's coming. Good, thank you.
Question.
Oh, wait.
John, just briefly, I would anticipate if we looked at the Lewis Street repair project, price per linear foot, we should get a much better price on a larger project.
Oh,
We
yeah.
absolutely
Oh,
will.
definitely.
Absolutely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a compounding problem with Lewis Street, you know, it's conditions and, it's more market conditions than anything. I mean, this
If
street.
you do the math on that short street, we're not.
We wouldn't be doing much.
No, it will not be, the prices will not be that high for a much larger project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
So with that, we've had a motion and a discussion. Is there any other questions, any other discussion? Then I would please ask you to vote your machines. Oh, please vote again. Great, thank you. Okay, now we go to our last item, item 8A. Madam Clerk?
Kevin Zarang to present monthly budget reports for November 1st, 2020 through April 30th, 2021, and November 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021.
How about we
Sir.
just say we're done? You have any questions? I'll go home. All right, so that's correct. We're looking at 2 months. How about we do like we've done in the past? Do you have any questions on the first of the two? If you don't, then we'll just move over to looking at the second one. Is that okay with everybody?
And our percentages work
So-
on all of them so far that we are, you know,
Yes. I mean,
within.
we're looking good.
Any questions?
So, yeah, I just
We have a
one.
question. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
It's good.
City Marshal, expenditures,
Which month are you looking at, April or May?
I'm looking at department detail. Am I looking at the wrong one, or you on a different one?
There was 2 of them I gave y'all.
Yeah, I kind of got mine mixed up when I was going through them, I'm sorry.
Looking
Maybe
on
I got them in
top
the
of
wrong
it.
order.
If you look at the top, it shows you the periods.
Yeah, that's what, okay, yes, I'm on the right one.
The April one. That's
Thank
the
you.
one she on.
Oh, that's,
That's what I was looking for.
sorry, Kevin.
So the city marshal,
Yeah, expenditures. I'm just wondering why the percentages higher. Did we hire somebody extra or something?
no ma'am, what
No, ma'am.
happened was, is the city marshal, you're talking about the 67?
Yeah,
That's, part of it is due to the insurance.
okay,
And that the insurance is not paid ratably over the year. It's paid in installments.
okay,
And so we had 6, on that point, we were 6 months in, so we should have been at 50%. The expenses were at 67.32, and it was the insurance.
okay, okay.
I want to move forward to May.
Everybody's ready to move forward? Yes? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to do this in total. General fund, budgeted was 23.4 million, we're at 13.2, leaving us at 56.43% of the revenue. We're 7 months into it, so we should be looking at 58%. At the same time, the budgeted expense is 22 million, we're at 12.2, and we're at 55.49% of our expenses. So we're doing good there. Parks and Recreation, budgeted revenue of 1.6, actual is 1.2, we're at 76.39% of our revenue. Expenses, budget at 1.6, we're at 573, so we're at 34.79%. And the reason why that number is so low is because we have some large capital outlay projects that had not been started. When we met with the park for the budget meetings, we did go over that, and those projects have been started. We have the ball rolling on those. Public Works Fund, Budgeted revenue of 2.9, we're at 2 million, leaving us at 69.67% of the revenue. Expenses are at 3.1, and budgeted actual is 1.3, leaving us at 41.3% of our expenses. So that's very good.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Sales tax fund is revenue of 9.1, we're actually at 5.5, leaving us at 60.29% of our revenue. Expenses or transfers out of 11.4, we transferred out 6.6, leaving us at 58.21% of our expenses. Public safety fund, revenue of 3.4, actual of 2.1, leaving us at 61.54% of our revenue. At the same time, transfer out or use, 3.4. Budgeted actual is 2 million, leaving us at 57.5% of our transfer outs. Garbage fund, 5.2 in revenue. Actual is 2.6, leaving us at 49.91. Looking at that, that had to have been an error. I think what happened is I did not pick up the way the sales tax revenue is recorded. We're always a month behind, so I have to look at next month to put it in, and it appears I didn't put in 1 month's worth of revenue.
Okay.
Because all the other sales tax numbers are above. Looking at this, it just tells me I forgot to put a number in. Sorry I didn't catch that earlier.
No worries.
On expenses, 5.2. Actual is 2.5, leaving us at 47.42% of our expenses. Section 8 vouchers, 1.4 million. Actual is 819, leaving me at 59.06 on the revenue. Expenses of 1.5. Actuals of 797,000, leaving me at 54%. Wastewater, revenue of 5.4, actual is 3.5, leaving me at 77.15% of my revenue. Expenses of 6.1, actuals of 3.3, leaving me at 53.7% of my
Okay.
expenses. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Now move on to Councilman's remarks. I guess I'll start on Dustin's side of the table this time.
Yeah, I think tonight was a great meeting, especially I want to thank the council for supporting the Pepperplex and Economic Development District. I think it was a long time coming, and I am hopeful and optimistic to see it come to its full potential and fruition. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'd like to thank the group from Parish Proud, Public Works, Republic, and members of the community who came out last Saturday and helped us clean up Ann Street, including the mayor. It was a really nice event. We cleaned up so much trash, and these guys were awesome. They made sure all the bags were picked up, and the people just were really, really awesome. So I just want to thank them for coming out. Also to let you guys know that there is going to be a back-to-school drive this Saturday at the Bank Street Park Pavilion. And so anybody with school-aged kids, you can come out there, and they will have book bags available for the kids with school supplies in them. So it's going to be from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. at the Bank Street Park. And then I wanted to also remind people that we're still looking for folks to adopt a grave at St. Matthew's Cemetery. $12 a grave per year so that we can maintain that historic grave site. And if you are interested in helping, please reach out to me. My number's and my email address is on the city's website. And then for the Downtown Neighborhood Association, I just want to remind you guys, we have a meeting on August 12th at the Slyman Theater at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ledbetter.
I think I've said enough for this evening. I'm gonna pass.
Thank you. Councilman Broussard.
We lost a very nice fella in Iberia Parish are Mr. Mike Booty. He's a bus driver, part of our family, we call that. He trained bus drivers. It was a very sudden illness, a double pneumonia. Very shocking to our bus and all Iberia Parish. Nice fella, training bus drivers. And we lost him, so we want to say a little prayer. I enjoyed my vacation. Long time a coming. I'm glad to be back. And I want to thank everybody for supporting the children at our Pepperplex, supporting our children. That's what all this is about. So we need a place for them to go instead of on the streets. Let's do them something positive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we had a good time this week, and I say good time, at the LMA conference in Baton Rouge this weekend. Councilwoman Johnson, Mayor Pro Tem.
Johnson Reed.
Johnson Reed, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Johnson Reed, Mayor Pro Tem Gosselin, Mayor Freddie DeCourt, and myself, we all went, and I think it was empowering, educational. I'm glad we went. So we are trying to go out and, get ideas to continue to help grow our city and move our city forward. On the community side, also there's another back-to-school drive, Unity in the Community. It's pack the backpacks, back to school, and this one is August the 7th in West End Park from the hours of 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that's going to be grades K through 12. For more information, you can call the park at 369-2337. We also are planning our Cuts for Kids, which we're going to do it on August the 15th. August the 15th. We usually always do it the first Sunday after school starts. And the comment I made earlier came from one of the doctors that was on television yesterday, one of the children doctors, and she said, and I repeat, quote, "If you're not going to trust the science, at least respect the virus. Wear a mask." That's it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just ask that everyone continue to pray for the firefighters that were injured in the structure fire this past week. There's 3 of them that are still recovering, and they could definitely use some prayers and well wishes. Also, I am super excited about the Pepperplex complex. I'm really excited to have my child there and have a new facility going, so I appreciate everyone supporting it so far. Hopefully it stays that way, and that's it.
Thank you. Been a good meeting, a long meeting, but it's been good with a lot of discussion. This is what we do. I thank all of y'all for being part of this, and it's been a long meeting, so I don't have anything else tonight. I would just move for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank y'all very much.